Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to the September edition of our Catch Up with Keeper webinar series. So excited you could all join us. We have a ton in store today. So I think we are going to probably need every minute of the full hour. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and dive in here. All right. Okay. Well, we have a ton of updates here, folks. I want to start with some new features that some of which will be a little bit redundant if you've watched the updates on the betas, but I'm excited to announce that bank feeds is now live, Keeper Accruals is now live, and AI journal entries are all now live. So I'm going to walk through what each of those entail at a high level so that you should all now have access to these in your account, minus a few of you who are still getting upgraded into the new architecture, but we'll go ahead and show what those look like now. Okay, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and go to a client. If you want to access bank feeds, you'll see that here in the bank feeds tab right here. One thing to note, you don't need to wait for the close page to finish loading. You can just click right over to bank feeds, and that will load your transactions on this page as well. Second thing to note, I think probably one of the most important things to understand about the bank feeds is with the bank feeds in Keeper, we're actually connecting to your client's bank account. We are not connecting to the QuickBooks bank feeds. So you do need to connect your client's bank account or request them to connect it, which I'll show momentarily. All right, so there are a few different ways you can connect those bank accounts. All of that happens up here in the accounts page. And when you click add account, you have four options here. The first is sign in with credentials. This will walk you through a flow where you can put in your client's or put in your username and password that lets you log into the client's bank account, at which point it will connect that account and transactions will start to flow through. This is the sort of happy path, if you will, of how to connect connect accounts. Second is what we call a client connection request. This is what you can do in the case that you want to connect an account, but only your clients have the access to the credentials. So a client connection request will essentially put a request in the portal where the clients can go to authenticate the bank feed and give you access to it. So here, if we say we want to set up Bank of America, and we set that up as a request, that will email our clients, that will also put a request in the portal. That looks like this. So here you can see we've got that connection request. And then now if our clients click that connection request, they'll see the same authentication flow and they can walk through and authenticate into that bank account. A few nice things about connection requests. First is if the connection breaks for any reason, the client will automatically get notified. So that way they can set this connection up rather than you getting to the bank feeds page and realizing that you need to then request that from your clients. So this should happen all completely automatically without you needing to touch anything. And other than that, these connections work exactly the same like a connection that you set up yourself. Third option lets you upload a CSV. I don't have a CSV handy, but just upload a random one here. And here you can choose the account that's going to get linked to, the date, amount, description, and then how the amounts are formatted in the file. And then last but not least, you have what we call account accounts. Account accounts are the two most common you can see we have listed here are Relay and Amex, but an account is any account that is going to be connected to multiple different clients in Keeper. So for example, with Relay, you may have 50 clients who bank with Relay, and with bank account integrations with QuickBooks Zero, you need to go in and set up those connections for each client in each account. What you can do with Keeper is you just set up the account connection one time, and that will connect to all of the accounts in Relay. And then from there, you can, on a client-by-client basis, pick which of those Relay accounts get mapped to a particular client. Same goes for American Express or other files. You can also use account connections if you have like a single Chase account that is going to be used across two related entities. If, for example, that they both have the same authentication. So it doesn't necessarily need to be used just in the case of literal like accounts that have a console, but that is the most common use case. So those are the four ways that you can connect an account. Of course, that is only the first step. where the value lies is not just in the connections, but also in what we do to actually process those transactions. So Keeper's bank feeds use a combination of AI and deterministic processing based on transaction data in the ledger to process your transactions efficiently. And then essentially what we do is we bucketize those transactions into different groups based on the way that bank feeds work, or based on the way that bookkeepers are used to working in the bank feed. So basically, we will sort of chunk these up. The first thing that we'll show you is your matches. And here we'll show you transactions that are possible matches and what they match against. And you can individually or bulk match those. All of the intuitions you have from working in other bank feeds should carry over here. So if you have an open journal entry or purchase, it's just going to link this transaction to that purchase. But if you have an open bill, for example, it will mark that bill as paid and create a linked bill payment. We break down matches into also matches divisible by 100 and multiple possible matches. Matches divisible by 100, the reason we do this is just, it's a little bit of an extra check. Like you might have a bunch of transactions that are $500 transactions. And so it can be easier if like a transaction sync from an external point of sale system or whatever has broken for that $500 to be automatically matching to the wrong account. So we just have those broken out into a separate section so that you can quickly review those. And then lastly, we have multiple possible matches. So if you have something that matches two potential transactions, we'll show you both of those. So you can pick which one you want to match to. After matches, you have rules. Rules, the sort of basic rules work similar to any rules you're used to working with. So basically, you can create and that rule can say, if the statement descriptor contains something, do something. A few of the nice things about rules in Keeper that go beyond rules in other bank feeds are one, rules are what we call composable. This means that multiple rules can run on the same transaction. So for example, here in this example, we've got this Kenny rule, which says if the statement descriptor contains Kenny song, then set the class to engineering. And then we have a different rule also running on this that says if the statement descriptor contains GoDaddy, perform the processing based on the vendor GoDaddy. So that way, especially if you do class or location tracking that's based on some data in the statement descriptor, you can process that automatically. And then that won't affect the vendor level classification. Another really nice thing we do with rules is rules can have embedded if then else logic. So you can have more complex rules to allow you to sort of not only more efficiently process with rules, but also help you understand how a vendor should be classified. So here, for example, we are saying basically if a vendor is over our capitalization threshold, then put it in prepaid expenses. Otherwise, put it in software. So that's what we're saying here. This is a sort of simple example, but you can get really complicated with it. We also have more conditions that you can operate on. So for example, we can have absolute value of the amount. That's if the amount is more than positive $1,000 or less than negative $1,000. We also have where the statement descriptor contains, is, starts, or ends with. And then one of the other nice things is we have divisible by. This is, I think, a pretty edge casey scenario. It happens for me personally. But here you can say if the amount is divisible by $5 or $10 or $50, we want something to happen. And if not, we want something else to happen. Okay, so that's your rules. And basically, you've got your matches and your rules, and those will process all of your transactions. And then after that, this is where Keeper's AI starts to come in to help you classify transactions automatically. So here we have three separate sections. We have your auto classifications, high confidence, your auto classifications, medium confidence, and then anything else that needs a review. The basic idea here is we want to help take the sort of equal amount of thinking and brain power that it takes to process every single transaction out of every single transaction so that you can just focus on the things that really need your conscious focus and attention. And the key insight here is we're really working off ledger data first and foremost. So here with auto classifications, what this means is we're highly confident, our AI is highly confident because it's seen multiple similar historical transactions in the ledger. The statement descriptors in those transactions that it's found are similar to the ones that it's looking at in the bank feed. And those transactions are always all categorized the same way. So basically, it's the classic, like here, if we look at job supplies, Home Depot, it's the classic, we've coded Home Depot to job supplies 212 times. In the 213th time, it should probably also go to job supplies. Here, coming back to that other example I was mentioning before, where you've got composable rules, we can see auto classifications is compatible with rules. So again, we can have a rule that sets, for example, the class that is independent from the auto classifications that set the vendor and category. And then here we can see easily with just a click, by clicking this arrow for more information, all of the similar historical transactions, how they were categorized in the past. And then if we want to individually post or bulk post, we can do that like that. And it will immediately post all of those transactions to the ledger. In addition to our high confidence classifications, we've got our medium confidence classifications. And here you can see this will be transactions that are also have similar historical transactions in the ledger, but something made the AI less confident. So in this case, for example, you can see the statement descriptor looks somewhat different from the statement descriptor in historical transactions. And then also we are here in a Chase checking account, but all of the similar historical spend was in Brex. And so basically we'll say, okay, we probably think Southwest is still travel, but this is something you should maybe pay just a little bit more attention to. So we'll call those out as well. Again, you can, once you've satisfied your review, you can individually or bulk post those transactions as well. And then lastly, once you get through your auto classifications, all you have left is your needs review. Your needs review falls into one of two categories: uncertain, or transactions that you are, we basically know something about this transaction, but there's enough ambiguity that that we want to flag that to the bookkeeper for your conscious attention. And then on new vendors is something where we've never seen anything like it in the ledger before. So we're going to process this the way you would process a new vendor. So taking each of those in turn, here with uncertain, we can see, for example, with Descript, we've got similar historical transactions. They're categorized in a couple of different ways. And so you'll see here this orange star and this orange highlighting means that we're not sure how this should be classified, and we need the bookkeeper's input here. From here, the bookkeeper can say, okay, this should go to software, select that option, and then post the transaction. Similarly here, we've got another transaction where we're uncertain about the vendor. And again, we can see more information in the past on which different vendors this is classified to. And if we want, we can use Keeper's internal commenting system the same way you use that on any other transaction, or we can also use Keeper's client communication system the same way you do on any other transaction as well. And then here we can click Add to Client Portal. One of the really nice things about this, unlike other transactions in the past, is you can finally leave these transactions in the bank feed if you want to. So if you think this might be a bill payment that this should be linked to, you're not sure which one that is, you can ask this question, leave it in the bank feed, come back to it later, and still have the same communication experience that you and your clients are used to working with. All right, and last but not least, we have new vendors. Here, what we'll do if we've never seen a transaction before is we'll send it to OpenAI to sort of do research, search on the web, and then come back with an explanation of what this vendor is, a link to that vendor's website, and then a recommendation on how that should be categorized. So here, for example, we can see Cursor. Our explanation is that Cursor is an AI-powered IDE developed by AnySphere. Transaction likely corresponds to a payment for Cursor services, which is plans for developers and teams. So we're going to recommend the vendor be a new vendor called Cursor, and the expense account be Office G&A software. Once you post this, it will automatically add the new vendor and add the expense account. And what we've seen is with Keeper's new AI, even as we've just launched it, it can categorize 90% plus of transactions. That's sort of on average what we're seeing here. And that's with a combination of the auto classifications, matching rules, and needs review. So yeah, that's what's new in bank feeds, and bank feeds should be live to pretty much everyone. We're still sort of upgrading some folks who may be in some older architectures. So if you don't see that, feel free to jump into the chat and we will get that taken care of as well. All right, I'm going to pause here now and take Q&A on bank feeds before we move on to some other updates. And so if I'm not answering your question and it's general, I will come back to that at the end. Brittany asked, is it extra to use the bank feed section, or is it included in the plan we have? Keeper Premium, which is now becoming Keeper Core, which is what 8% of folks are on, includes bank feeds. So if you're on Keeper Standard, you don't have access to bank feeds, but if you're on Keeper Premium, which is now Keeper Core, apologies, it's going to take me a second to retrain on this. You should have access to it at no added cost. Danny asked, does the bank feed feature allow us to create financials for clients who don't have QBO or another accounting software system? Not currently. We are planning to bring bank feeds to Xero and the other ledgers that we support, but today it is only for QuickBooks Online clients. Brittany asked, will you be adding Bluevine as an accountant account? Great point. Definitely something we could make a note of. An anonymous attendee asked, is the client request option for setting up accounts included in the automatic reminder email sequence if you've enabled it for that client? Not yet, but that is coming soon, I think in the next month or two. An anonymous attendee asked, will you be able to add tax codes to rules? You will. I assume this anonymous attendee is a Canadian client. Keeper bank feeds is only available in the US at this time, unfortunately. But when we roll it out to Canada and other geos, which we do plan to support, then yes, you will be able to add tax codes to rules. Claire asked, do you need to rebuild the rules we already have in QBO, or is there a way to import them from Keeper? Great question. And this is, I think, probably the single most requested feature in bank feeds. We are working on a rules importer. It's not live just yet, but when it is, you will be able to just drag and drop your rules, and they will all carry over. Kate and Jennifer both asked similar questions. One is, can bank feed rules be copied and applied across multiple clients? And Jennifer asked, can you set up rule templates? Not yet. That is something that we are working on supporting. We definitely want to make this something where you can get efficiency gains by serving multiple clients, but nothing immediately at the moment on both of those. Brittany asked, when you connect the accounts in the bank feed, what would be the best date to use for import? Would it duplicate anything in QBO if you import it for a month that has already passed? Okay, first question, what date should you use for the import? Here we recommend basically if you, we recommend closing out a month or closing through a certain period of time and then starting with bank feeds for the next period. So if you've closed the books for August, then start on September 1 or maybe August 31st. But if you do have overlap in transactions you've already categorized in the QuickBooks bank feeds and the Keeper bank feeds, that won't cause a problem. Essentially, what will happen is any of those transactions that have already been categorized in QuickBooks will just show up as potential matches in Keeper. And an anonymous attendee asked, if you use Keeper receipts, do you need to review the uploads before you process in the bank feed? You do not. We are working on a much tighter synthesis of receipts and bank feeds in probably this quarter or next quarter that will automatically start pulling in receipts into the bank feeds if they match. So today they're still a little independent, but you can definitely process the bank feeds before you process receipts. Okay. Christine asked, can you please go through how to create a rule from scratch? I will do that. I'll just pull up an example here. Okay, so we've got United. This is already in auto classifications high confidence. You may not want to create or need to create a rule for that. One of the things that we've seen is people tend to create rules because the bank feeds processing logic in other ledgers is so brittle and inconsistent that you just feel like you need a rule. But because the auto classifications essentially have a meta rule that says if you've seen it in the ledger before, code it the same way, we actually see people needing to create far fewer rules. That said, I'm not going to completely ignore the question. I'm explaining how to create a rule. You see a transaction here, you just click the three dots here and click create rule. At this point, you'll get this rules editing interface. And here you can say, okay, statement scripter contains all this stuff. Maybe we don't want all that stuff. We just want it to say United Health Car. And here you can see if you're right here in real time, if this rule is going to apply. And then we can see it's already preset to United Healthcare and Insurance. Okay. I unfortunately do not have any medium confidence transactions anymore. Okay. The question is, do medium confidence transactions also show the number of times a transaction have been coded a certain way? For example, in Home Depot, it was coded 212 times, but I didn't see that for medium confidence. Short answer is yes, it does. What you do is you hover over the vendor or the expense account, essentially the thing that is being made as a recommendation, and it will say how many times it has seen that transaction in the past. And that happens if it's both high confidence or medium confidence. Anonymous attendee asked, can you upload bank statements as well? I'm not sure if this question is requesting pulling bank statements, which is something that we are working on. But if so, we're working on it. If not, I'm not sure I understand the question. Danny asked, how secure is the AI being used for external research on transactions? Great question. Keeper uses OpenAI for our backend processing, and we have rules in place with OpenAI to prevent that from being used for any OpenAI training. So it's essentially just hitting the OpenAI API. So if you basically that's like bedrock. If you trust ChatGPT, if you trust OpenAI, then I think you can be reasonably confident trusting Keeper's AI. If you don't, then I would say that is the bedrock that we're sitting on. Spencer asks, is the bank feed able to code class as well? Yes, and it will even code class based on historical transaction data if that is available. Deepali asked, does all high confidence and 100% rules transactions auto push to QBO? They don't. We don't have auto add at this time, but you can really quickly bulk add transactions just by clicking this out of the way here, this post button, and that will bulk post all transactions. So that way you can give it like a 2-3 second review here, and then just click bulk post. Spencer asked, can you do the same rules for classes that you do for GL codes? Yes, you can. Okay, all right. Maybe take a couple more questions, and I don't have to cut this off because we do have a ton more stuff we need to cover. Okay, if a client uploads a receipt, does Keeper Receipts find that transaction in the Keeper bank feeds? Not yet, but this is what I was mentioning. Over the course of the next quarter or two, we're really going to stitch those much more tightly together, and then it will. Okay, Caleb asked a great question. That is a good dovetail to my next improvement, which is when do you plan to release your new extension to mark transactions as cleared in the bank register? Okay, this is a great question. So for background context, the one downside of using Keeper's bank feeds is we don't have privileged access to the cleared status. So if you're not familiar with the cleared status in QuickBooks, is essentially the thing that if you're in a reconciliation, we'll mark that reconciliation, we'll mark the transaction line as like cleared. So it'll automatically be affecting the reconciled balance. So basically, we don't have the ability to write that status as cleared. So that could make your reconciliations less efficient. However, we do have a very good workaround that we actually already have released. So thank you, Caleb, for the great question that really teed me up here. So here, if you are reconciling a transaction that you categorize in Keeper's bank feeds and you use Keeper's Chrome extension, if you don't, you should, for this reason alone, amongst others. So essentially, you'll see all of these, even though you've coded them from Keeper's bank feed, will show up as unchecked. So basically, what you can do is you can click Start Reconciling, and then that will immediately reconcile all or check all of the transactions that have been cleared through Keeper's bank feeds, and then we can see now this has a zero balance difference, and you can now finish it. This is a paradigm that we plan to continue to invest in and improve on. So expect to see more in the reconciliation screen coming in next month's update. Okay. All right. So I am going to push pause on bank feeds and move to a couple of the other really exciting updates that we've shipped in Keeper. The next is Keeper Accruals. I'm going to start on the closed page here. So Keeper Accruals is obviously designed for folks who do accrual accounting. That is two really common examples here. You've got prepaid expenses, you've got fixed assets, and then you might also have things like accrued expenses, payroll accruals, or other sort of journal entry, month-end cleanup journal entries that you need to make to have your QuickBooks data tie out against some external spreadsheet. So with accruals, that process is now super easy and almost completely automated. basically, when you turn on accruals, that will show up in this new section right here. And here you've got basically what you do is you add each task you add a task for each of the schedules that you maintain. So if you have a prepaid expenses schedule, you'll add a prepaid expenses task. If you have a fixed assets register for computers, you'll do that here in your chart of accounts, and you'll set up basically one accrual for each schedule you maintain. Here, if we're looking at prepaid expenses, we can see we've got all of the transactions that we have in the last month that we've posted to prepaids, and we can see whether they are or are not already on the schedule. If they are not on the schedule, adding them to the schedule is super easy. You just click add to accruals. And then here, all you have to do is type in the duration and the expense account you're going to post to. So here we've got this log rocket license for 6 months. So we're going to click 6 months here, and then software. And then here you can see this is going to create 6 journal entries posting into the future. That is going to take this prepaid down to 0. All we have to do at this point is click post, and that will post the transactions and add this to the schedule in Keeper. So now you don't have to maintain an external workbook. All you have to do is add the transactions in Keeper, and we'll maintain both the workbook and the journal entry postings for you. Similar process for fixed assets. Here we have to refresh the page for some reason. Okay, so here we've got some computers that we bought this month. We click add to accruals, and then here we've just got 36-month duration. We are working, by the way, on templates that will pre-fill even duration, so you really won't need to do anything here. But here we can see this is going to post 36 depreciation in the future. We've pre-configured this account, so it's automatically going to post that to the appropriate accumulated depreciation account, the appropriate depreciation account, and then again, you just click post, and it will automatically post all of those entries. Once you've posted both of those, I'll refresh the page here, and I'll also go to our accruals section right here, show a couple of really nice things. First things first, if you have your prepaid, if you have your fixed asset schedules or prepaid expenses on your account reconciliations, you can really easily now auto tie those out. So we have these schedules that are being managed in QuickBooks, or sorry, these schedules that are being managed in Keeper. And now as a result, we can see for the prepaid expense rec, we've got the balance at the end of the month, and that matches the balance of our accruals schedule. So now we can know we can mark this off. Same thing for our computers, and you can also see this for ties out for original cost and accumulated depreciation as well. Just a quick pop over to the actual schedules themselves. So here, if we're looking at a schedule, we can see how this the schedule and the QuickBooks balance match against each other. We can also see all of our assets here, the original cost at purchase, the ending balance as of the period that we're reviewing, and then any entries that might be made. So here, I'll change this to this fiscal year. I'll change this to actually plus or minus 6 months. And here you can see all of the depreciation entries that are being made over time to recognize these transactions. Okay, so that's Keeper Accruals. Keeper Accruals is part of our Scale package. Scale is a new plan that's added to Keeper that costs $50 per client per month. That is, I'll take a step back and mention we've slightly changed our pricing structure, not our prices themselves, but our pricing structure to go from what we call an add-ons model to a tiers model. And so the difference between a tiers model and an add-ons model is in an add-ons model, you would have something like Keeper Premium, and then you'd add receipts on top of it. In a tiers model, you go from the tier that contains Keeper Premium to the next tier up, which contains receipts. So as a result, we've changed the names of our prices. Keeper Premium is now called Keeper Core. It's still $10 a month. Keeper Receipts is now in the tier Keeper Plus, which is $25 a month, which is the same as the add-ons of 10 and 25. And then Keeper Scale is that final add-on package, which is $50 per client per month, which includes everything in Plus and Premium. But so if you think about that in the old add-ons model, it's a net increase of $40 per month. Okay, apologies for the sort of arithmetic aside and lesson there. That's Keeper Accruals. So I'll now pause there and take a look at a couple of questions in the chat. Okay, Spencer asked, are all prepaid expense amortization journal entries posted at the time the prepaid is created, or are they posted over time? The former, they are posted as soon as the entry is created. Angie asked, if the amount varies from month to month for accruals/prepaids, would it be better to create a rule versus using the accruals feature? Please write in to support with more information about what you mean by that. Potentially, this is something that we could support. I'm not personally familiar with prepaids that vary from month to month, but would love to learn more. Spencer said, can you export a schedule? And this is very exciting. So I'm glad to hear you're excited, Spencer. You just click this export to CSV option and download this as a CSV. Caleb asked, when will RevRec be released? Probably in the next, I think, 1 to 2 weeks, but very, very shortly. Similarly, accrued expenses is also actively in development, as are payroll accruals. Christine asked, how do you make a correction to an accrual? We have some limited correction capabilities right now. We are working on some others as well in the next couple of weeks. But if you want to make a correction to an accrual, you just click, you click under the actions column, or no? Okay, that's not live in my account yet. There will be an edit button here, and then basically we have dynamic logic where based on which periods are locked, it will allocate the correction across the appropriate remaining periods. Okay, an anonymous attendee asked, what about importing CSVs? Can you do that? What about the batch? What's the batch button in the top right? I'm not sure what the batch button is in the top right. I'm not sure I even see a batch button in the top right. Okay, but you can definitely upload existing accruals. You click this import from CSV, and then we have a prepaid expenses and fixed asset template that you can use. If you are importing lots of schedules, like 20 plus, we can actually help you with this migration if you'd like, or at the very least, we can teach you how to do the migration so that you can do the rest on your own. Alvin asked, would RevRec, prepaid accruals, and payroll accruals all be part of the scale tier as well? Yes, all of the sort of new improvements coming to accruals, which also is going to include things like loan amortization as well, are all going to be part of that scale package. Okay. All right. Next major feature announcement, AI journal entries is now live. AI journal entries is also a part of Keeper's scale package, and it lives in your, it lives essentially the same place receipts lives. So here we've got a document. I already processed this one I have. Okay, here we've got a document. And here, in this case, we've got an Alta settlement statement. For those of you who do real estate accounting, this should be a very familiar problem. So basically, you get this document that looks like it's been scanned and then faxed and then scanned again. So you can like maybe find some numbers here that make some sense of it. But basically, the idea behind AI journal entries is you can take a complex document like this that's not so straightforward like a bill and describe to Keeper's AI what you want us to do, and then the AI will do that. So here we've got like a basic starter prompt that's just like, tell us about this prompt, tell us how you want to map the accounts and the amounts, things like that. You can very much deviate from this as a not required structure. I have, for example, a Alta settlement statement prompt for buyer and for seller. And so I'm going to just use that seller one here that just says my client is the seller. Please create a journal entry with a line for each debit and credit on the seller side. And so that way the AI knows to use the seller side. And then for all the lines, and here's the nice thing, you can be like, you don't have to be overly prescriptive about this. So we can say all gross proceeds should go to real estate sales. So you don't need to try to think through like, okay, does go to mean a debit or does go to mean a credit? You could just say like go to, or like should post to, like you can use plain language. You don't need to be so prescriptive. And in fact, we recommend you don't in the journal entry prompts. That way it's generalizable so that when you want to reuse that prompt, you can save it and reuse it without needing to go in and modify it. So here we've got all of these lines. We're going to say take the gross proceeds and post them to real estate sales. Settlement charges should go to closing costs. Loan charges should go to mortgage balance, so on and so forth. And here you can pick your model. We have a lot of different models available, which I know is confusing. We are working on giving you sort of better model selection. I actually personally find O4 Mini to work the best for whatever reason. But we are continuously improving which models we support and how we sort of add scaffolding around those. But basically, you just click generate, and then what it will do is it will read the journal entry, it will take your prompt in, and then it will go in and create an entry. Because this is a reasoning model, this may take some time. So you can actually leave here and go and continue on about your work, and we'll send you a push notification when that prompt has finished posting. So while we wait for that to work, usually it'll take about a minute here. Let me see what we have next on our docket. Okay, I will show one quick update while we wait for that to work, which is in the client portal. That is one minor update that I will say personally I really appreciate, and that is the ability to turn uploads that the client gives you into questions. So for example, let's say they have this document here, and it's just like a normal transaction document, and they just want to give it to you so you can process it. That still works as normal. But if it's like maybe a reimbursement request that they need you to action on, they want to give you more context, they can check this needs reply box, and then they can add a subject and a question. And what will happen instead of this going to your client uploads inbox, this will go in as an inbound question so that your team knows to action on it accordingly. And so that way it sort of works in the same existing questions workflow rather than going into the files, which may not get processed on the same frequency. Okay, so we've got our, that mini demo was just enough time to have our AI journal entry finish processing. And now let's take a look at what it did here. So we've got the gross amount due to seller goes to 751.4325. You can see got that amount. We can see it adds the description here. It posts it to the right account. We've got mortgage balance 495.815.27. That again is right here, the right amount. We've got our closing costs 290.8990. We've got our total cash due 221.578.08. And then we can see our debits and our credits tie. So we have the journal entry, everything looks good, and we can now go ahead and just post the transaction, and it will immediately post this to the ledger. So yeah, that's how AI journal entries work. And now I will check the questions out, see if people have questions on that. Spencer asked, can you view a draft posting before it posts? Yes, and we do recommend it. So you can you can edit and review the draft here as well, as I just showed. I'll actually show one of my personal favorite things about this is we actually made some improvements to the ability to edit a line item. Edit line items here by allowing you to edit them in bulk. So for example, if you wanted us to have a class and for whatever reason, either we forgot to mention this in a prompt or the AI just didn't listen to you, you can really easily just bulk apply the class right here before you post that journal entry. Cindy asks, is AI bills coming soon? Yes, we are working on AI for all document types. So yes, AI bills is definitely coming soon. Our PM working on that feature. Jillian is in particular very excited for that one. So I know she will be happy to hear that that's been reinforced on this call. Christine asked, what tier is AI journal entries in? It is in keeper scale. Christine asked, are different depreciation methods supported in accruals? At this time, we only support straight line conventions. So you can do full month or mid-month. So you can have mid-month would be half posting in the current month, the half posting in the first month, and half posting at the sort of end in the final month. And we're working on sort of other options, but at this time, depreciation is only straight line. Okay. Adrian asked, will Keeper Core still include the current financial summaries and reports? What are one-click AI financials included in the Plus plan? Great question. Yes, Keeper Core will still include everything the Keeper Premium ever included. We're not downgrading any functionality. It's literally just a name change. And then the second question is, what are one-click AI financials? AI financial summaries. That is a feature that is not ready just yet. So I will give a quick overview of what that is, but I won't sort of demo much of it on this call today. But basically, that is the ability to have AI draft summaries for you that go into your management reports. Summary, you can go to your executive summary note. Now you can have it drafted with AI. Here we have some prompts similar to AI journal entries, and you can say, hey, you're an accountant. Please give the client a 2 to 3 bullet point summary highlighting their performance and anything they need to know about. At that point, they can click generate, and then it will draft this executive summary and include it in your management reports. So it makes it easy to go a step beyond just delivering the P&L balance sheet and standard reports at a keeper. So I said I wouldn't demo it, but now I've demoed it. This is what the AI financial summaries will entail. We're also working on longer versions. So in addition to having this be like a couple of paragraphs in the executive summary, you can have, which this is probably too long. We'll give you a warning on that as well. And for that reason, you can sort of fine tune the AI. This is still in a beta. But we're also working on a full page version of this as well. Okay, all right. We are rocking through the updates. All right, next thing to go over, table improvements. All right, so first things first, little minor improvement, new column on the client list. Actually, a couple of new columns on the client list. We added client notes, and then we also added in our bank feeds outstanding transactions. So those are both super helpful. Outstanding transactions, you can literally just say, okay, who are the clients where I need to go process transactions? You also have historically been able to, and still can, see what's the date I last posted transactions from the bank feed. And then client notes is your notes here. So here you can easily see all of your notes, quickly add another note. So if you wanted to just like leave like a quick note, maybe you're sort of rocking through a bunch of updates and you want to just like leave those notes, you can do that all right here from the client list without needing to go into each client's close page. Okay, next update, it's a minor one. It's what you won't see on the client list. Now, previously, when you added new closing sections, it would automatically add those to every single view, which is typically not what you want. Now that won't happen anymore. So when you add a new section, it won't automatically add to every single view. So apologies if we have been cluttering up for your views before that. Okay, and one more update, actually not on the client list, it's on the timers table. We updated the UI for the timers table. So we're using a new table system. This is like maybe too dorky to present on, but I'm gonna present on it anyways because we like it. This should hopefully improve significantly all of the UX around tables, which is like the entire app. And so the basic idea is this going to be much more flexible, much more easy to use, much more like Excel-like. So here, for example, it's now super easy to just drag and drop and reorder columns. You can easily make columns wider or narrower, maybe. Yeah, here you go. You can make columns wider or narrower really easily. You can see the UI is a little bit less harsh on the eyes, and all of the same functionality of like editing and making changes here all still applies. And you can also, of course, like still add and remove client properties. So the only thing that we've changed here is we've changed the UI to make tables easier and nicer to work with. So hopefully y'all will find that a welcome change. That is already live here on the timers table. That will be going live to the task list and the client list over the course of hopefully the next quarter. I know I forget who is constantly asking every single week if there's any update on being able to reorder all columns on the client list. And sometime before the end of the year, I should be able to answer that in the affirmative. Okay, next update is Firm Analytics. Firm Analytics is essentially pivot tables on top of your keeper data. So it's a great way, especially if you've started to get a client list of a sufficient size that goes beyond like something you can keep loaded into your head and memory every day. This is a great way to manage and understand what's going on at that one level higher up than the client list. So here, for example, we've got a few examples pre-built, but here you can see on-time close percentage. So here we can see all of our closes by each preparer, whether the closes were completed on time. In this case, we've got terrible demo data, but so basically no closes are ever completed on time. But you can, with any of these, just like you would on a pivot table, double click into a cell and see which client and which close was completed on time. On-time close completion is based on the combination of the due date and the date the close was marked completed. So that's where that comes from. You can see we've got this for all months, the current year, and we've got closes by status. We can see in the current closes. So for the current, like last month's close, what percentage of closes are in which different stages. And you can see here, just like a pivot table, you can add and remove columns, build up aggregations. So this is where we plan to put more and more analytics so you can hopefully understand more about what's going on in the firm without needing to create all these custom views on the client list. Okay. All right. Few more updates. Sorry, I'm on a single monitor today, so I'm using my phone for the agenda. Okay. Okay, last update is management reports. Management reports got a design refresh, design overhaul to make things look and feel more polished and professional. So I'm going to show what the sort of finished end product looks like there. We've updated the cover page. We updated everything here just to sort of feel a little bit more tight and professional. So no sort of major new content additions. I've mentioned this in the past on a past update. We have things like a contents page now. So if you wanted to add a sort of disclaimer here, long form disclaimer, or in the future AI-driven financial summary, you can do that on the content pages. Our executive summary sort of cleaned up and polished. You can also now reorder all of the reports. So you can put, for example, like my sort of common reporting structure that I'll use is like the cover page, table of contents, and then exec summary, and then metrics, and then P&L balance sheet. So now you can drag metrics up higher up so that clients can see that first and foremost. And then cleaned things up, tightened up some spacing. So the sort of whole income statement, balance sheet should all just feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more professional looking without any sort of additional major changes to the content. And when we did first launch this, I know a bunch of people were I'll go with unhappy with the sort of structure of the title cover page. So we have made additional improvements to the cover page so that you can, for example, change the date from being small or large and change the branding to client of practice. So hopefully you'll have found those changes to be a welcome improvement that helps get your cover page back to something you are comfortable with. Okay. And with that, those are all of the updates I have for this month's Catch Up with Keeper webinar. So now I'm going to go back to the Q&A and we'll tackle as much of these as I can get for between now and the end of the webinar. Okay, John asked, where can we find metrics templates or how can we create them? We don't yet have metrics templates. This is a super commonly requested feature and one that we definitely intend to support, hopefully on the earlier side of 2026. But for now, you do have to sort of manually hand create metrics for each client. Ashley mentioned, is the main Keeper user able to stop other members' timers? For example, if they lost internet and are not able to stop their timer. At this time, no. This is a feature that we do want to work on and improve. However, if this does happen rarely, then if you jump into our chat in the bottom right-hand corner, we could stop that on your behalf. An anonymous attendee asked, is there any roadmap to develop further the time entry platform into more of a billing platform so we could bill our clients each month out of Keeper? I won't say never. I will say supporting billing is not like the top of our roadmap at the moment. We have really good integrations and partnerships with firms like Anchor, and they do a lot to make the payments and purchasing experience a very, very smooth one for your clients. So that is an area where we do want to continue to improve, but probably more along the axis of taking your timer data and syncing that data into external systems so that if you bill out of external systems, that's still a seamless one-click experience, but probably not immediately will you be able to, or in the near term, will you be able to bill out of Keeper? Brittany asks, is there a way to include the engagement letter in the tax organizer directly, or does the engagement letter have to be signed separately in the signature section, and then the tax organizer can be filled out afterwards? The latter, they do have to be independent, so you can set up the e-signature and then the organizer, but they can't be combined. John asked, can you upload vendor bills through Keeper? Yes, you can. It is in your client uploads inbox. So if you upload a bill or your client uploads a bill from your client uploads inbox, you can, so that same place where we're looking at journal entries, you can also create bills. An anonymous attendee asked, for the financial package, the ability to add custom reports or attachments to the package. Not currently. So if you did want to do that today, what we would recommend is on your reporting, you can print the PDF of the reports by clicking download or print here. And then when you publish, you can make the changes on your desktop and then upload a custom report here. So that's currently the workaround that we recommend. Okay, John clarified, can you create bills through an Excel file upload? I guess if you're sort of asking about bulk bill creation, if you've got like 20 bills in a PDF or in a spreadsheet, uploading those and having those. Okay, yeah. Not currently. Makes sense. Definitely something I think we could support, but not something we have at this time. So if you want to jump into Canny, there may already be a vote for that. If not, would love if you could create that so other people can vote on it as well. Okay. All right. A lot of questions here. Sorry, just trying to get through some of these here. Okay. Brittany asked, let's go to some bank feeds questions. Brittany asked, in the possible matches section, does it show where the particular transaction you are trying to match is being coded, or just a brief description of the transaction type, customer, vendor name, and amount? Great question. Okay. So here, for example, we've got this Google $250 purchase. If we wanted to see the full vendor details, we click this arrow, and this will show us the full descriptor expense account is coded to, and then you can match from here as well. Christine asked, can we split transactions manually or via rule? Manually, yes. Via rule coming soon. If you wanted to split a transaction, you click the split option here, and then you can add multiple line items. Ashley asked, is bank feeds work for Xero or just QBO at this time? Bank feeds and accruals and AI journal entries all just work for QBO. That said, we do definitely want to bring support to Xero. So this is something we are still committed to supporting. So apologies, Xero folks, if it feels like you've been left out in the cold. It's definitely not our intention, and we do want to put our engineering resources where our mouth is on that one. Okay. Ellie asked, how does a bank feed in Keeper interact with the bank feeds in QuickBooks? Will a transaction added through Keeper be automatically added to the QBO ledger and removed from the bank feeds in QuickBooks? Great question. So essentially, the bank feeds in Keeper and the bank feeds in QuickBooks are independent entities. They're both independently connected to the bank feeds, and they both independently post transactions to the ledger. In addition, they both have matching logic so that if you see transactions in the ledger, we won't post a duplicate. It'll just suggest a match. So if you post a transaction from Keeper's bank feed, it will show up in the ledger. And as a result, when it shows up in the ledger, if you go to QuickBooks' bank feed, you'll get suggested to a match rather than posting a duplicate in QuickBooks' bank feed. Same thing happens the other direction. If you post from QuickBooks, you'll see that as a match in Keeper. That said, we do recommend once you are comfortable and up and running and up to speed in Keeper, we recommend not doing double work in both places. So basically, in the bank feed section in QuickBooks, you can either disconnect that or just leave it to live fallow. Probably would recommend disconnecting it, so people don't jump in there and start playing with this system that's not being maintained. Caleb asked, is the new extension, is this a new extension or the same extension? It is the same extension. And also, actually, that brings up a point I forgot to mention about the same extension, which is we have added support for questions in the QuickBooks bank feeds again. So if you do not want to use Keeper's bank feeds, that is okay. And we now have added support again for asking questions in the bank feeds in Keeper for the new QuickBooks bank feeds UI. Okay. Miriam asked, sorry, I'm late, but can Keeper be used for my QuickBooks desktop clients? Great question. We do not have an integration to QuickBooks desktop. You can still set up a non-connect or an unconnected client for those clients, but that is not going to have an integration. So basically, you can use it for task management, client communication, internal communication, but you and file storage, sort of all the workflow features of Keeper, but you just can't use it for a connected client. One of the nice things about that is because so much value comes obviously from the ledger integration, those unconnected clients are free. So there's no cost for it. Okay. All right. I think it is time, but I will address maybe one more question. Okay. Let's see. We'll have one more question here. Okay, Chet asked, does Keeper Receipts support products and services? It does. I want to make sure I am not answering that question incorrectly. I'm pretty sure it does. This is not like a you stumped the CEO question. Okay, let's just go to a bill here. Yes. So you turn on products and services, and then you can code by product and service. All right. Okay, apologies if we were unable to answer your questions here. This is one of the most packed updates I think we've ever had. So thank you all so much for taking the time today and for being so attentive and thoughtful. We always appreciate it. I hope you all have a good rest of your, I guess, rest of your month, which would be rest of your day here. So thank you all so much for taking the time. I will see you again right back here next month on the last Tuesday of the month.